Hey, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Cosmos Atom. If you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to watch that before watching this one so that you have more context. Also, I do have two donation links down below in the description. If you want to support Ukraine, you can do so by going over to the official websites I linked down below, and you can donate directly to the funds. Thank you all for supporting, and thank you all for watching the video. Let's get straight into the technical analysis. So, as you can see, we are dropping out of this channel up pattern that we created for Cosmos Atom, and we have been in this pattern ever since June 18th when we printed that low below $5 and was that $55.55 roughly, and we peaked out over here, last touch of resistance at $17 roughly. And as you can see, since then we have been in this pullback. We bounced off the 20, then lost the 20, now we lost the 55, and we're hitting our head on the 55 daily EMA. So the red EMA is the 55 and the 20 EMA is the yellow one. And if I start zooming in, you can see that we're actually holding the support that I gave you in the last video. So $12 and roughly 50 cents is your support, because this is exactly where you bounced from in May of this year when we had the initial capitulation in May, and then you had the retracement to the upside. You ran into resistance at $12.50, and from there you dropped all the way down to the low in June. So we're holding this as support for now. This is very bullish. Hopefully the EMAs can come closer together, and then we can have another move to the upside. But if Bitcoin decides to continue dropping, and if Bitcoin decides to retest $17,000, $16,000, we might see Cosmos pull back towards $10.50 or even lower. Potentially, we could even retest the golden ratio here at $8.74. But you have to be ready for both outcomes, because I'm not here to tell you what is going to happen. I'm here to tell you that you have to be ready for both outcomes. So if we start pumping, we can always set targets to the upside. If you're swing trading, you always have to use the RSI, for example, to see if you're overbought. For example, here, September 9th, you were in the overbought, and this was all the way up here when you printed that high at $17.20. Okay, you got overbought from there. You could have taken some profits because we already pulled back a nice 27.6%. And on the RSI, as you can see, we went all the way from the overbought, which is above the index of 70, all the way down here to the index of 44. So if you sold some Cosmos Atom tokens here, now is a good time to dollar cost average in. Even though the price can go lower, a 27% pullback is pretty good in my opinion. Also, what you can see is happening over here is that we're holding some sort of a multi-week support trend line over here. If I just drag a trend line across like this, you can see that we're bouncing from this level multiple times, and we've had 3 bounces total in the last couple of months. The first bounce was here in July, next bounce was in August, then we saw another bounce in September, and we've actually literally just bounced from that level. So we're going to see potentially a move to the upside, because every time you bounce from this area, you had a move to the upside. So feel free to set some targets to the upside for Cosmos Atom. We have a Fibonacci retracement on our chart, and if we manage to retrace back to $17.27, we're going to be looking at $21 as our technical target. Okay, however, you do have the golden ratio here, which we have rejected. Okay, we came back below the golden ratio, and then we got rejected from it here in on September 23rd. So $15.24, a major resistance level. Okay, essentially on this fractal here, we did have a dead cat bounce, because you printed your high, you retrace down, you start coming up, you run into the golden ratio, and then you print a lower low. So that's called a dead cat bounce. So the golden ratio on this particular fib at $15.24 is very important. And as you can see, that fib, the golden ratio here on the smaller fib, is near the 786 which is the fib off of this large Fibonacci retracement that I have. And I've had this for almost 2 years now on this chart. Well, actually, I'm lying, not 2 years. So the swing low is all the way back in March of 2020. And this was roughly at around about $1, which is crazy to think about. So even right now at these prices, you're up 13 times from the low that you printed here in March. So in less than in a bit more than 2 years, 2.5 years, you are 13%, 13x higher. So that is not bad at all. And that is, of course, if you exclude the all-time high prices for Cosmos Atom. And obviously we printed the high here in May, we went back down to the golden ratio, and we went above our swing high, but we failed to get to the 1.272. So our hope is that we can at least get to the 1.414 in the next bull market. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so you can see that the 786 here is something that we may run into resistance, and pretty much you can say that that's exactly what we did here, because we did have a couple of candles above the 786, but for the most part we couldn't hold it as support, so we got rejected from that area. And as you can see, this level here at $17.42 is exactly the support that we had here in May initially after the dump, and then we had a retracement to the upside and then another dump. And we also bounced from this level back in August of last year, and we bounced from it in March of 2021, in April, in February of last year. So this is a pretty significant level, and we just retested it as resistance. So potentially we're going to see a move to the downside. My hopes is I really want us to come back down to these levels here, and once again retest this golden ratio at $8.74, because not only I really want to buy at those prices, because that's pretty cheap considering considering all the facts, and that is also going to be the retest, a very important retest off of this golden ratio. Now we've seen multiple retests off of the golden ratio before, but right now we're so high up, people might actually think that we're not going to be able to come back down this low, and they're going to be wrong, because no matter how high you are, you can drop in an instant. Remember the dump that we had last summer. I remember this dump when we went all the way down to $20,000. Was that actually? I think that was in February. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But I was just looking at the price falling all the way down to $20,000, and then we had and then we bounced back to $30,000 within minutes. I'm not sure which day that happened. Probably some of you remember that. But that was a pretty strong capitulation. And these capitulations are opportunities, so feel free to have your stable coins ready on exchanges, and feel free to set up buy limit orders in advance, because a capitulation can happen at any time. So you could be asleep, you could be at work, so you're not always able to look at the charts. So if you have limit orders set up in advance, once we have that capitulation, your orders are going to get filled even if you're not there to see that happen. And once you have the V-shaped recovery like we usually do, as you can see here, we had this nice V-shaped recovery, which happens pretty quickly after these dumps, and you're already in profit once you wake up. So that's how I like to think about it. And yeah, the lower it goes, the more you buy. Simple as that. Now, if we get a bearish cross on the daily chart, that's going to be quite negative, and I'm not going to lie, there's a big possibility we may get the bearish cross. So just be patient. I would not be buying in at these prices here. I'm personally waiting for $8.74 all the way down to $7.45. Somewhere in that region, I'm going to be dollar cost averaging. Now let's switch over to the Binance website. So moving over to the weekly chart here, pretty straightforward chart in front of you. This is the weekly chart, and right now we do have two Fibonacci retracements, or I should say a Fibonacci retracement, but this is the second one. And as you can see, this one is a bit different. So we have the swing low here in June, and we have the swing high in January of this year. And as you can see right now, what we have done is we have run into the 0.5 as resistance. We wicked into the golden ratio, which is closer to $20, and we got rejected from there. So essentially what happened is you print a high, you come back down, you retrace to the golden ratio, and then you print a lower low. We just talked about this in the beginning of the video, so this could very well happen, right? And this is the weekly chart, keep in mind. So the higher the time frame, the more important the pattern is. But obviously, the economic status right now is not very good. And what I mean by that is a lot of currencies are dumping. The British pound, the US dollar is going to follow the same fate as the euro. Don't think that it's going to hold. And yeah, it's just there is no hope for fiat currencies. And as you can see, for Cosmos to retest this zone, anywhere from $10 to $8.50 would be actually great, because as you can see, we did come all the way down here multiple times during last year's summer, and this is where we ran into resistance, once in August of 2020 and once in January of 2021. So coming back down and retesting this zone as support just to solidify above it would be great. Okay, we did have a couple of wicks over here in August. As you can see, yes, we did have a couple of wicks, but I would like to see a more certain and a more serious back test of support here, and then we can continue on, right? So the most important thing is not losing this low. We do not want to lose this low. We want to stay above it as much as possible. Lots of altcoins have come back down already and lost their low. We already lost the low of last year's summer, so you know, if we start losing another low, that's going to be quite negative, and we're just going to be in this, you know, downtrend, right? And I don't want to be in a downtrend. I want to be in an uptrend. As much as I like buying cheap prices, at the end of the day, we want to see our profits, and I'm waiting for those profits in the next 2 years, right? I'm waiting for the next bull market, guys, and so should you. But that has been it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If I missed out anything important on the charts, please let me know down below in the comment section. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Feel free to join my Patreon. All the links are down below in the description. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.